For the third year in a row, this man has been named a Minnesota Viking breakout candidate. Who's that going to be? Let's talk about it next. Hello, Viking fans. I'm going to do a giveaway. I want to describe it to you. I'm going to give away $100 worth of merchandise of your choosing. If I get to 1,000 subscribers, 75 if I get to 750, 50 if I get to 500, 25 if I get to 250. I'm going to choose one person from an episode. So I'm going to choose an episode, and I'm going to choose one person as long as they're liked, subscribed, and commented. And you can do multiple comments, multiple entries. You can actually go back to my old videos and do that too. Those will be eligible. Now, I'm going to choose that on game day against the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to choose one. Hopefully, it's $100, and I have 1,000 subscribers. Skol Vikes. Welcome, Viking fans. This is Minnesota Sports Talk. I'm your host, Dave. You can follow me on Twitter at SkullWorld and at MN Sports Podcast. Also on Facebook, SkullWorld. Now, please click down below on subscribe, like, and then comment to enter my contest. Now, let's talk about who that breakout candidate is. The year was 2019. Fresh off a disappointing season, Kirk Cousins going into his second year. We fired our offensive coordinator in 2018 midseason, and we're getting a first-time OC for 2019. And we draft 18th overall in the first round, Garrett Bradbury. But who did we draft in the second round? And that, my friends, was Alabama tight end Irv Smith Jr. Obvious NFL pedigree. We also drafted Alexander Mattison. We all like Alexander Mattison. He's been a heck of a second string running back. Drew Samia in the fourth round. That was terrible. We all can agree on that. Cameron Smith, also terrible. Then we got Armon Watts in the sixth round. Not bad. Marcus Epps. Oliudo. He's a serviceable backup on occasion. Chris Boyd. Still playing. Dylan Mitchell. We had hopes for him. Didn't work out. Olabisi Johnson, seventh round. And Austin Cutting. So out of that draft, we got Garrett Bradbury, Irv Smith Jr., Alexander Mattison, Armon Watts, Oliudo, Chris Boyd, and Olabisi Johnson. Fair draft. You probably look at it now and say, hey, that was a C. That was a C. Garrett Bradbury's been a starter, but not a very good one. Irv Smith Jr. holds so much potential. Alexander Mattison, I'll take that. He could start for any team. Or, well, not every team. Not any team, but a lot of teams. Armon Watts, been a good, rotational D tackle. Chris Boyd, if he's your seventh cornerback, which it looks like he will be this year for us, or sixth at best, that's not bad. And then Olabisi Johnson turned out to be what could have been a pretty good number 3 wide receiver, but got injured last year. And now he's not bad being our 5th or 6th receiver this year. Possibilities there. So I give it a C because there was some depth there and some needed depth there. But probably the star out of that draft is Alexander Mattison, and Irv Smith Jr. should have been. Now, I said he's a breakout candidate 3 years in a row. Yes, because in 2020, we expect him to break out. We didn't play him that much. 2019, we expected him to break out. We didn't play him that much. 2020, we, didn't play him that much again. And then 2021 got hurt in preseason. So let's go back to the way back clock in 2019 and see what, his measurables were coming in. His height 6'2", weight 242 pounds. He ran and I watched the video on his combine. He looked pretty good. 4.63 on the 40. Arm length 31 and a half. Those are pretty short arms. And you can kind of see when he catches. He does catch with his hands, but he's He's not reaching for a lot. He's had some pretty awesome catches. Go look at his highlight reel, some diving catches. But normally he catches the ball. He tries to catch it in his body. He doesn't extend his arms out, but he does catch it with his hands. I did notice that his hands are 9.5 inches. Not horrible. Not horrible. Still pretty good. Bench press 19 reps. He's not going to be known as our, run blocking tight end. That's not going to be him, and it never will be. Vertical jump 32.5 inches. Serviceable, pretty average or better. Broad jump 110 inches. Also pretty good. So he's explosive. 3-cone drill 732. That's not bad. That's not bad for a tight end. And then 60-yard shuttle, 12.4 seconds. 20-yard shuttle, 4.3 seconds. I'm a little more impressed with the 3-cone drill. His vertical jump is all right. His broad jump, he's explosive. Guys, explosive numbers there. Now, 19 reps isn't shabby, but it's not screaming out, "Hey, we got a hell of a big tight end." But that 4.63 40, I'm liking it. When you look at his college tape, he was explosive yard after catch yak yards, and he was an explosive player, and he broke some tackles. He was elusive I seen him break ankles out there in the SEC. That's a big deal. Now, stat wise, his sophomore year, I think he played in junior college. I could go find it, but his sophomore year, he was 9 games, 14 receptions. This is in 2017. 14 receptions, 128 yards, 9-yard average. And this is where I was saying that he's a explosive player in yards after catch. 2018, his junior year, I believe it was the year they won the championship. He had 15 games, 44 receptions, 710 yards, 16.1 yards average, and 7 TDs. Not a lot of TDs, but that's because they had so many weapons. But 16 yards a catch as a tight end, even though I was in college, still impressive because that was the SEC. Now, how does that relate to Minnesota? Now, his rookie year in 2019, 16 games, 36 receptions, 311 yards. Rudolph still our number one tight end. 2 TDs. Now, where the college numbers and the pro numbers make sense is age 22. In 2020, he had 13 games, 7 games started, 30 receptions, 365 yards for 12.2. So no, he's 16 yards per catch. In his last year in college, 12 yards per catch. Not bad. Even like Percy Harvin was like 11 in his rookie year. So that's pretty impressive for a tight end. 12.2 yards per catch, 5 TDs. This guy should have been a breakout candidate, and we should have gave him the balls more than we did. But we had a Kyle Rudolph. So now going into the last year, he was looking great in camp. Everybody said he was the big gainer. He was making great catches. He's leaping over people. He was diving, making all these great catches. Lost him for the season. Big blow. Conklin came in. Now, just to compare what Conklin did last year, Conklin 61 receptions. Those should have went. Those should have went to Irv Smith Jr. He was only 9.7 yards per catch. Not horrible. He was very serviceable. He got a big contract. We couldn't afford him. He was good. He was a good tight end. But he's not as talented or physically gifted as Irv Smith Jr. Now, 593 yards, 9.7 yards per reception. Now, would we be happy with that this year from Irv Smith Jr.? Yeah, We'd be completely happy with that. But do I think that's what he's going to do? You know what? I don't. I think we're going to pass the ball more. He's going to be the only tight end on the field, and he's going to get looked at quite a bit. And that's and the whole thing is if he's healthy. That's the big thing. Is he going to be healthy? Now, 61 receptions. I would say that would be reasonable, but would I expect more yards? Yes. I'm saying, 11, 12 yards, 11 yards per catch. He's going to get, 70, 80 yards more than Conklin did last year. I still think he probably is going to get about the same receptions, though. But I think he's more explosive, yards after catch, make people miss. He showed that in college. I think he's still young, man. Conklin did this at 26. This is going to be 24 years old, I believe, for Irv Smith Jr. So let's look for that. Let's look for a breakout season, Irv Smith Jr. I just third year in a row, breakout candidate, Irv Smith Jr. This is Minnesota Sports Talk. Follow me on Twitter at SkullWorld, at MN Sports Podcast. I wish I had more to talk about. You can also follow me on Facebook, SkullWorld. Click like, click subscribe, leave a comment. I'll see you next time. Skull Vikings.